Welcome to Bananas Backstage. I'm Hank Tatum with WSAV, and this is historic Grayson Stadium, home of the Savannah Bananas. You've probably seen the Savannah Bananas online, but do you know who make Banana Ball so special? With Bananas Backstage, we're going to be interviewing some of the Savannah Bananas employees behind the scenes that make Banana Ball all it is that you see today. This is Bananas Backstage. Welcome back to another episode of Bananas Backstage. Today I'm joined by Jolie Chabala of the Banana Fosters program. Jolie, how are you?
I'm doing great. Great.
Thanks so much for joining us. Before we get started, just want to make sure I know, what is your official title?
So I work with Bananas Foster. I'm the, sorry to pause, it kind of changes. So essentially I'm the program coordinator for Bananas Foster.
Gotcha. And so did you start with the Bananas in this role, or were you doing something previously with the team?
No, I was hired by Emily and Jesse Cole to start and build Bananas Foster into the official nonprofit of Banana Ball.
Wow, that's so cool that you kind of have been here since the beginning of the program. But first, just for context, can you explain a little bit more about what the Banana Fosters program is?
Yeah, so Bananas Foster is the official nonprofit of Banana Ball. And our mission is to celebrate the foster care community while educating and inspiring others to get involved.
That's awesome. How did the program start, and what was kind of the idea behind it as to why Bananas Foster should become the official nonprofit?
Yeah, so Emily and Jesse Cole, the owners of the Savannah Bananas and Banana Ball, they are a licensed foster family, and so they were inspired by their real life experience of being foster parents to help support and build a nonprofit that could support the foster care community. It's a known fact that 50% of foster parents will quit within the first year because of the lack of support. And so Emily and Jesse just had this idea that one day when the Bananas would be a big team and a big name, that they could start a nonprofit that would support the 400,000 children and teens that are experiencing foster care.
Wow. So you mentioned to me that you've been here since 2023. Mm-hmm. What drew you to the role and the Bananas Foster program? Yeah,
I mean, like pretty much everyone else, I was a Banana fan for a really long time. I remember my first game here at Grayson Stadium was a Sand Gnats game.
Wow.
And so, I remember those days of the Sand Gnats, and then I remember my mom called and she's like, yeah, so they're not the Sand Gnats anymore, they're the Savannah Bananas. And I was like, oh, Bananas, like that sounds so fun. And we just had the game package. We were fans for a really long time. And I always knew that I wanted to work with the Bananas just based off of this fans first mentality, and working under Emily and Jesse Cole are just really great leaders. And I always knew I wanted to work here. I just didn't know what my skills and talents could bring to this team. And so I told them, they ask when you're interviewing to do a future resume. You know, they don't really care what your past looks like. They want to know what your future looks like. And I wrote in my future resume that I wanted to be the first community director and build a nonprofit based around whatever they wanted it to be. And so fast forward a couple phone calls later, I'm talking with Emily Cole, and she's like, yeah, so we have this dream to start a nonprofit. It's called Bananas Foster. It's around foster care awareness, and foster care was always something that was really close to me. And so I was just super excited to jump on board and build a nonprofit that could really focus on uplifting the foster care community.
That is a super inspiring story, and I'm excited to get to more of the details of the program. There's 3 pillars, is that correct, of the program?
Yes.
What are those 3 pillars that you guys focus on?
Yeah, so back to our mission is celebrating the foster care community while educating and inspiring others to get involved. So those 3 pillars: celebrate, educate, inspire. We want to celebrate and uplift and support these foster families, these biological families, caseworkers, children and teens that are experiencing foster care. We just want to pour the potassium, positivity, and this energy that the Bananas give into a foster care community which has a lot of trauma and sadness. Like, we just want to pour this positive light on this community. And then to do that, we also hope to educate people. Foster care might be the first time that people are even hearing the word foster care, or they may not know anything about foster care when they hear it out on the field. So really just educating people as to what the need is, and hopefully if we can celebrate and educate people, then we can inspire people to get involved. And we ask people to get involved in at least one of 4 ways, right? You can learn more, right? Become an advocate, educate other people, educate yourself. You can volunteer, donate your time. So becoming a CASA or a guardian ad litem, or really just volunteering your time with kids in foster care. Providing supplies or donating financially to organizations, right? Keep those missions going and keep them for doing good in the foster care community. And then of course the biggest ask, which is to donate yourself and become a foster family. I'll never forget the conversation with Emily Cole the first time we talked about Bananas Foster. She had said to me, what if we had a wait list, like the same wait list we have for people with banana ball tickets? Imagine if we had a wait list of foster families where every child, no matter their age, their background, or their circumstance, could go to a safe and a loving home, because we had more foster families than we had children in foster care. And that would also allow people to focus on the issues of foster care, and let's focus on reunification and getting children back into their homes with their biological families. And so right now the need is just for more foster families. And when I heard that, I was hooked right away. I was like, let's do it. Like, let's just inspire the world to get involved in foster care and let these kids know that we hear them, we see them, and we're here for them.
There's a few ways that you can get involved if you're hearing this and want to be a part of the program, and we'll circle back on that later. But what are some of the ways that the Bananas Foster Program is specifically giving that support that kind of allows you guys to make progress on that goal of having a wait list for families?
Yeah, so we have 2 really amazing programs right now that are based around that celebrating part of the pillar. The first program, we call it Go Bananas for Game Day, which is the VIB experience, right? Very important banana experience. We roll out the yellow carpet for our families. We call them our BFFs, Bananas Foster Families. We treat them as our BFFs. We take care of all the costs to come to a game, tickets, merchandise, waters, food, Dippin' Dots, anything that would be an associated cost. We bring these families out and we share their story on the field, right? It's part of that educating and inspiring more people to get involved. And so the game stops, and we, either myself or Emily or Tori, will come out onto the field and we'll share this foster care story with the crowd. And this family gets a standing ovation, and the coolest parts is walking the family back to their seats and watching the crowd still cheer for them, still clap. It's so cool to see them and know that smile is genuine for them. So yeah, we have this Go Bananas for Game Day program where we take care of a once-in-a-lifetime experience for them. Cool. And then we also do what we call the Potassium Care Basket program. And so we know that there's a lot of families out there that need support. Unfortunately, we can only have 1 family per game. But there are thousands of foster families who need extra help or support in their journeys. And so we created the Potassium Care Basket program, where we provide a personalized basket to families in need. So if we hear that a family just brought in a newborn baby, we will send them clothes, a crib, diapers, whatever they're in need of, we want to make sure that gets to them. Same thing if they've welcomed a teen into their home, then great, we'll send them some board games and some friendship bracelets, and we'll make sure that no matter where they're at in their journey, that these families know they have an organization that they can turn to when times are tough.
Well, it sounds like the program makes such an impact, but to back up, this organization has clearly become so much more than just baseball, but it didn't have to be originally. It could have just been a baseball team, and that's really it. Why is it so important for the organization and this program specifically to make an impact on the community?
Yeah, just having something to focus on and know that we're making a difference. Again, we talk about these pillars of ways that you can get involved. Our dream is that wait list of foster families, and I just looked at numbers, and we are just shy of 500 people that have reached out to us to say that they want to be a foster family.
Wow.
So even though it's hard for us to track how we're making a difference, we know that this game is more than baseball, and what we're doing out there is not just changing the lives of the families that we're celebrating, but changing the lives of people in the crowd. Just putting foster care in a light and shining down on people in a really positive atmosphere. We're really just changing the game, changing the community.
If that's not fans first, I really don't know what else is. What are the next steps for the program, and how can it continue to grow and you guys can continue to have more foster families? What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, looking at this year, with more games and a split tour, right, 2 games going on at once, we had to make a decision last year, does Bananas Foster travel with the party animals? Does Bananas Foster represent a foster family at a firefighter headliner game? And the answer is yes. Bananas Foster is a nonprofit of Banana Ball. So as we grow into teams 5 and 6, 7 and 8, if we grow into a bigger tour, that just means that we're celebrating more foster families, and we're putting foster care on a national stage where people are looking into it, whether it's a senator at the game who is like, wow, I didn't even realize that foster care was a needed issue, and so then that sparks a political reaction, or it's a family that's willing to say yes to a kid in need and they become a licensed foster family. The fact that we can make a difference in the foster care community is just really special.
And you kind of touched on it there, but how important is it that it's become a part of the World Tour, and that you're not only impacting the community here in Savannah, but you're impacting communities everywhere across the country as the Bananas and the firefighters and all these teams travel?
Yeah, foster care is not just a Savannah or Chatham County thing. It is nationwide. Every community, every state has its own regulations for foster care, but there are kids that children and teens that are experiencing foster care in every community. And one of the things that we have been focusing on is putting foster care on a national scale and a national level where, you can say you want to volunteer. Well, guess what? You can volunteer right in your community if we're celebrating a family in Utah or celebrating a family in Texas. Everybody has the ability to do something and to make a difference in the foster care community, even if it's in your community and not just right here in Savannah.
Well, that's awesome. Jolie, one last time, if you're watching at home, how can people get involved?
Yeah, so you can get involved by just reaching out to Bananas Foster. Our website is bananasfoster.org. On there we have a form that asks how you want to make a difference. Do you just want to learn more? Do you want to provide supplies? Do you want to donate? Or do you want to become a foster family? And so if this is something that's really interesting to you, or you just want to learn more, feel free to check us out on socials and on our website.
Jolie, thanks so much for sharing the Bananas Foster program. I really appreciate your time today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.